Let's go to the man who talks about it all on Overdrive. Noodles, the buzz in that city must be phenomenal right now.
It is. Obviously, everybody's excited. Get an opportunity to, go to some World Series games and experience it. As you guys know, this city is dying for championships. So, there's an opportunity. I don't know what the odds are, but I think they've been a team of destiny and played very well. So, yes, the city is on fire right now, and rightfully so in the baseball world.
We'll see if they can get it done. They are a pretty significant betting underdog, at least against the Dodgers.
Did you find your way to the front of the queue for tickets yesterday? Or
No, I called the game last night in Ottawa, so I did not. I mean, I've been offered tickets, but I don't want to go. I like sitting on the couch and experiencing it. Like I'd rather you're in the building and people are yelling and screaming and you just like you can't. Yes, it's nice. Like I was actually in the building for the bat flip, Joey Bats.
Okay.
And people were throwing stuff on the field, and I think I've told you guys this story. I was with a guy who was polarizing, right? So he's like, "We got to get the hell out of here." He goes, "If people see me, it's like there's already an angry crowd." So it was we had a bunch of drinks, and we ended up watching the rest of that game at Harbor 60, a steakhouse across the road. But it was after Joey Bats. The minute that he did the bat flip, I'm like, they're in good shape. I'm like, let's go. So it was fine. But
you guys are the only people that were like saw the bat flip. You're like, hey, let's get out of here.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, they're good. Let's get out of here. So, anyways, I've experienced it. I don't know. I would rather send. If my son wants to go, I'll make it happen. But I'm sure we'll go at some point. But it's not top of my list. I'd rather watch it on the couch.
Jamie McLennan with us on the show this morning. Noodles, you mentioned you worked the Senators-Oilers game last night. The Oilers, as described by some over on the YouTube chat today, saying it wasn't a pretty win, but a win is a win, and they had to get one. They only had one on this 5-game road trip so far. How do you think the Oilers played last night? What did you think of their game?
I think both teams were desperate for a win. And I swear, yesterday morning and talking to people from both organizations, if both coaches, if Chris Knobloch would have walked over to Travis Green at noon yesterday and said, let's both get a point and we'll shake on that, and then let's see who can get the extra point in overtime, I think they would have signed off on it. I called it. I thought both teams played pretty well, but it was a cautious game. Like very like methodical and cautious. Nobody really wanted to get too crazy. And Ottawa, I think Ottawa played hard and played well against the Oil. And I thought the Oil played pretty well. Like I thought some of their top players were really engaged. I thought Skinner made a couple really good saves. But like we've seen with this Oiler team, complete control of a game and then let a team right back into it as well. It didn't have shades of Calgary against the Flames, but it did have, 90 seconds, and all of a sudden Ottawa's right back in it, right? And those were, especially the power play goal. Bouchard has that puck on his back, and he's got to make a better play up the wall. He just shovels it up the wall. But, you got to give credit to Ottawa for being persistent. But overall, I thought Edmonton played a pretty strong, methodical game, a road game. And keep in mind, I think that was their last road game of the trip, correct?
Yeah.
They flew home?
Yeah, they're coming home.
Usually that last game can be a disaster because guys are like, we're on the plane, we're home afterwards. So they did a really good job. And, maybe Adam Henrique's 1,000th game really helped with the process because the guys were celebrating that. Or Jake Wallman coming back, that was a big boost. And obviously him scoring the winner. So a lot of storylines that you could pull from that, but a win is a win and you'll take it. And I think that's where Edmonton fans are at today.
Yeah, you mentioned storylines, and there were a lot, like numerically, Stewart Skinner, 100 wins, the Henrique game, McDavid's first, but I wanted to get to Ike Howard getting his first as well. You had the opportunity, and I mean, you can have your Springer home run, but I think him getting his first from Leon Draisaitl is probably a bigger moment in his world. Tell me what you thought of his game, getting to watch in the flesh last night.
So he's not a big guy, and obviously that's without saying, but, in watching the games prior to last night, I didn't 100% think he was ready to play in the NHL. I think there's been spurts, but I thought, okay. And it's amazing. After he scored, he looked like he belonged. And he was physical. He was on top of pucks. He was using his speed. It was like that weight got off of his shoulders. So I'm quite curious to see if they can give him a 5-game run and if he could settle in. Now, that being said, you talk to people around Edmonton, there's bodies coming back. I believe Janmark is close with Walman coming back. So they've got decisions to make. But I don't think it's the worst case scenario if he went to the minors as well and played 22, 25 minutes a night and just settled into the pro game and came back when he realized the cadence, realized everything. It's a massive jump to go from college or junior to the National Hockey League. So you can tell the skill is there. You can tell the shot is there.
The shot is there, yeah.
I think the pace, he can get to the pace, but just it's going to take some consistency. But seeing the goal go in for him, seeing how excited he was, and seeing the boost afterwards is kind of worth to see what the next step is for him. But I think he's a good player, and I think he'll be a really good NHLer. But we're just scratching the surface right now. Literally, what is he? 6 games into his career, 5 games into his career. So.
It's interesting with Howard because he still only played 10.5 minutes last night, which was the lowest total among Oilers forwards. You mentioned how they are going to get healthier here in the near future. I think there's a lot of people in the market who are interested in seeing him get a little bit of time with Connor McDavid for maybe 2 to 3 games, which Knobloch has really been shuffling things up. So I don't even know if that's really possible.
Right.
But Noodles, would that be the best thing for him right now, or do you stay away from that with Howard?
I mean, the way Knobloch shuffles the deck, I could see, a shift or 2 for him here, especially if he's feeling it, and place him in a situation where, listen, he had a one-timer. He had 2 good looks in Detroit. Henrique put it on a tee for him. One he flubbed into the goaltender. The other one I think got blocked by Raymond. It's interesting, and I'm not that I'm shying away from answering your question, but I'm going to lump Savoy in there as well, because Savoy's been all around it. For me, it's a matter of time before, because he had 2 good looks last night. So these young guys, us in the media, the fan base, we want to see instant results, and sometimes it just doesn't work that way. Where it's like you got to give somebody 20 games to see if they're capable of playing in all situations and really get comfortable in their own skin at the NHL level. So I don't know if a long run or a short run stint with McDavid either masks things up or either helps or hurts him. And what I mean by that is if McDavid puts it on a tee for him and he scores, but then he gets pushed out of a game on the road because he can't handle a top pairing matchup, is it good for him? Is it bad for him? That's what I would say. You're looking at the points going great for confidence, but is it good for the long haul where you're looking at a January game where it's a heavy game against Vegas or something? Is he going to be able to handle that if you haven't tested him in all situations? So I think that's the moving target for them. And as they get healthier, is he going to be in the lineup every night to grow at the NHL level? So there's lots of deck chairs to move around, lots of decisions to be made. But I'll come back to my original comment. I like what I see in him, and I think the ceiling is very high for him, but he's just scratching the surface as he kind of settles into the pace and the cadence of the NHL.
Jamie McLennan with us on the show this morning. He's our GS Construction Hockey Insider. Noodles, first-hand look at Stewart Skinner for you last night. He's got a .909 save percentage so far this season.
Thinner Stewart Skinner.
And he stole that game for them against the New York Rangers. I love that one save he made when they were 2 guys on the doorstep and he stretched across, got a pat on that one. What did you think of him this year in person compared to last year?
In person, I saw him several times last year. He looked more organized. Okay. I don't know if that's the right word in the net, but he looked more organized and more compact and kind of aggressive in his own right. There were a couple times where, you're right, there was a 2-on-0 down low and he pushed across and then he ended up on his stomach, but he battled on the puck. Sometimes you don't need style points. Sometimes you just make the save and you move on. And I like that. I thought he was rock solid last night. I didn't fault him on the goals. The second goal goes off of Kulak's knee, I believe, in the high slot. The first goal, good shot by Cousins. Again, missed assignments. But, he made some real big saves, and he looked like he wasn't forcing it. He looked like pucks were coming to him instead of him chasing the puck and being so excited in the net he's opening holes. So, but that being said, I didn't love his game in Detroit. The game-winning goal, I guess it would be the game-winning goal, was that the kind of the shot from the wall, I believe, that ticks off of Ekholm. But he didn't find the puck. He was in the middle of the net. He was late to get down. Like there is still that one goal that I've seen where it's like, okay, you can do a little better or you can be a little sharper here. But obviously the Rangers, he was brilliant. And last night was rock solid, played very, very well. So if you're getting real nice performances 2 out of 3, maybe you can get to a point where it's 7 or 8 out of 10. Then you've got that consistency from the guy that's the goalie you expected to grow into. It's early, but I did like what I saw last night.
All right, Jamie, before we let you go, Montreal is coming to town. They're in Calgary tonight. They're off to a good start this year. Tell us a little bit about the Habs. What should we expect from this team?
They're very skilled. So, what people sleep on is, Hudson's young and, but they're really immensely skilled. This Demidov is a player too. And then you throw in Suzuki and Caulfield, and Slavkovsky's turned a corner realizing how big he is and how strong he is. So that line's as good as anybody. They've got solid goaltending. Montembeault is a good goaltender, and that Dobush is a good up-and-coming goaltender. And I think they've got a 3-pack of D. I talked about Hudson. You look at Dobson, who can really shoot the puck, and Matheson, who's really mobile. So their D is I wouldn't say surprisingly, but they're good and skilled. So they got a little bit of everything on that team. And then you got the Jack guy who's, wants to punch people in the face and stuff. So he tries to bully his way around a little bit. So when Patrick Laine, he's come back off an injury and they're trying to find a spot for him on the fourth line. They're trying to find, that's when a team's pretty good. So I do think, listen, the Oilers, I liked what I saw last night. That looked a little bit more like the Oilers we would expect. They controlled and dictated the pace of play. But I wouldn't sleep on Montreal. They're fast, they're skilled, and they're playing with a lot of confidence.
Good stuff, Noodles. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll check in again next week, buddy.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
There goes Jamie McLennan, who I think is the only person in the country who, when we asked him about getting tickets to games, I don't want to go.
I appreciate it.
I love that guy.
You asked me yesterday how much I'd pay, and I'm like, I don't really. Yeah. But I do like him at the Batista game. And like him and his buddy with their hands on their hips being like, this is getting a little.
Yeah. And who is he with? Right? He said his buddy was kind of polarizing. You know who I think it was? Chad Kroger. Him and Chad Kroger are pretty tight. A lot of people love Nickelback. Some people don't. Who else could it have been? Who else could have been his polarizing buddy that he's like, we got to get out of here if this doesn't go well?
The O-Dog.
Oh, maybe it was the O-Dog.